The transmission room aboard the Velkaran Ascendancy vessel shimmered with the soft blue of quantum comm light. Ambassador Talvek adjusted his crest robe, voice sharp with arrogance. Humans. Finally caught one drifting near the fringe. He muttered, stepping toward the interface node. The comm technicians around him averted their eyes, not out of fear, but ritual deference. The Velkarans were conquerors. Contacting new species was merely the formal prelude to domination. The hologram flickered. The Terran ship appeared, no audio yet. Just an image. Talvek leaned closer. Primitive design. No elegance. But something was wrong. The ship was either still. No hailing lights, no evasive maneuvers, not even a weapons lock. Just there, suspended like a monolith, a silent obsidian wedge surrounded by nothing but calm stars. Its surface gleamed unnaturally. No scorch marks, no identifiers, no insignia. Run diagnostics, he ordered with a flick of his clawed finger. A junior officer spoke, hesitant. We already did, sir. It's Terran, but not on any registry. Talvek smirked. Then they've built something they think can hide. Let's educate them. He opened the diplomatic channel, a breath, then words. Unidentified Terran vessel. This is Ambassador Talvek of the Velkaran Ascendancy. You are in violation of interstellar trade codes and sovereign space. Power down and prepare for the eye. Voice that cut him off wasn't human. It wasn't robotic either. It was something in between. Layered, deep, filtered through something ancient and cold. You spoke first. 3 words. That was all. But they froze every being in the room. Talvek blinked, leaned in. Repeat that. The voice did not. Instead, the ship shifted slightly, not forward, not backward, just rotated. Slowly, as if watching them. The lights dimmed. On the Velkaran bridge, systems flickering momentarily. What was that? One technician whispered. No weapons detected. Another replied. But the power drain. It's on us. They're leaching. AVD spike. Talvek's bravado. Cracked. Shut down the transmission. But the console didn't respond. The alien ambassador's words dried in his throat. Not metaphorically. Literally. The entire room watched as his voice box locked up, breath stalling. A thin line of blood dripped from his nostril. He wasn't being attacked, he was being silenced. The voice came again, slow, precise. We are Terran. You are not prepared. Silence. That word again. That unbearable, pregnant, choking silence. And in that space where no sound dared linger, the command tower lights on the Velkaran ship all blinked red, one by one, like a countdown. Talvek gasped finally, stumbling back, clutching his throat. He managed to croak. Shut it down. But there was no answer from the crew. They were all staring at the screen. Because now, finally, the Terran ship was moving. It wasn't advancing, it was drifting. Sideways. Letting them see the full scope of its hull. There were names etched into it, in English, burned clean into the metal, for every silence you forced upon us. And below that, Earth remembers. The bridge of the Velkaran Ascendancy vessel was no longer buzzing with dominance, it was whispering. Engineers whispered diagnostics, officers whispered updates. Even the light seemed dimmer, cautious, as if the ship itself feared what it had just witnessed. Ambassador Talvek sat slumped in his chair, a pale cloth pressed to his face where the blood hadn't quite stopped. His voice had returned, barely. But with it came something alien to him, doubt. Run full-spectrum scans on that ship, he barked, voice raspy. I want everything, thermal, quantum, temporal. The lead analyst interrupted with a shake of his bony crest. We already did, sir. And? The officer hesitated. There's no heat signature, no life signs, no reactor pulse. But it's moving, stable, functional. That's impossible. No, sir, it's something else. It's not alive. Not in the way we understand. It's not piloted, but it is reacting. Vex's claws tapped against the metal rest. Then it's AI. AVD spike. The analyst's voice dropped lower. We thought that, until we detected a second pattern. He flicked a hologram to life. 2 energy waves overlapped. One sharp, synthetic, the other, organic. Vex leaned forward, eyes narrowing. That's a neural wave, he whispered. But fragmented. The officer nodded. It's faint, like it's decaying. Old, but not gone. And the ship? Built around it like the AI didn't come first. The mind did. Silence again. Not force this time. Just awe. Vex stood slowly. Are you telling me the Terrans put a human brain into a warship? Another voice, shaky from the back, or what's left of one. They all stared at the screen now, where the ship still drifted, unhurried, unworried. The command tower zoomed the image. Glyphs etched into the hull glowed faintly, white, not painted but burned in with precision. Each name was a person, each name a memorial, each name a warning. One of the younger officers finally said what they were all thinking. This isn't a warship, it's a tomb. And yet it moved. With purpose. A slow arc as if it were patrolling, watching, listening. No other signals, no broadcasts, just presence. Vex whispered, almost involuntarily. Why would they send that here? A soft chime rang through the chamber, one the Velkarans had never heard before. An ancient Terran signal. It played only once, static, and then a human voice. Old, cracked with age but defiant. If you're hearing this, then you've come too close. This vessel is not a threat. It is a memory, and memory does not forget. Another officer murmured, Why didn't we detect the beacon earlier? No one answered, because they already knew. The ship had let them hear it. Now, and only now, signature line. Memory does not forget. The transmission ended. The ship stopped moving, just waited. Vex turned slowly, voice tighter now. Bring weapons online. They already are, sir, someone whispered. He paused. They hadn't activated anything, then who had? The room turned to the view screen, and for the first time in Velkaran history, an order was given not to attack. Closing line. They made first contact. And already, it felt like a eulogy. The hangar bay hissed open with military precision. Recon pilot Drek adjusted his gravity harness, wings folded tight beneath his exosuit. Stay quiet, stay low. No transmissions unless I speak first, he told his co-pilot. The small craft detached from the mothership and slipped silently into the void, headed straight toward the Terran relic. They weren't supposed to feel fear, but they did, because nothing moved on the alien ship. No blinking lights, no reaction to their approach, and yet it felt like watching. Range, 700 meters and closing, the co-pilot muttered. Drek squinted at the scanner. Still no reaction? No. But the signal distortion is getting worse. Static fuzzed the cockpit glass for a moment, then cleared. The ship grew massive in their view. Up close, it was even worse than expected. No visible welds. No seams. The hull wasn't constructed. It was forged. As if someone had molded sorrow and vengeance into shape and called it a ship. Symbols etched across the side were ancient Terran characters. Not tactical, not numeric. They were poetic AVD. Spike. One line scrolled slowly across the main hull. We died screaming. Now we wait in silence. The co-pilot swallowed hard. What kind of species writes poetry on a weapon? Drek exhaled slowly. A species that doesn't forget. They circled the dorsal ridge. The camera zoomed into a half-formed structure near the center of the hull. At first it looked like another weapon mount, but no, it was a chair. And in it, what remained of a human figure, not preserved, not decayed, something in between. Skin fused with the steel. Veins like copper wires, the face obscured by a shattered visor, but the eyes were still wet, still open. The ship jolted suddenly, no impact, no warning. Their console buzzed. "We're being scanned," shouted the co-pilot. "Internal systems, not mechanical, it's neutral." "What?" "It's not reading our tech, it's reading us." Their screens flashed, filled with words neither of them spoke, translated automatically as if the ship wanted them to understand. "You do not belong. You do not understand. You do not get to leave without learning." Drek slammed the thrusters to retreat, but they didn't move. "Engines offline," the co-pilot screamed. "We've lost control." Then, silence. Everything is powered. Down, no alarms, no motion, just the hum of the Terran ship's presence. And then, a voice. Soft, female, humans, but impossibly sad. "We begged for peace once. You told us silence meant weakness. So now, we are silent." One of the cockpit windows frosted over, etched on the inside. "From nothing. From nowhere. Go home." Suddenly, the engines roared back to life. Uncommanded, the recon craft turned on its own and began moving away from the Terran ship. Slowly, like a whisper being exhaled. Back in the Velkaran mothership, the bridge officers watched in silence as the recon craft returned. No pursuit, no defense. Just a message. Vex started. "They let them go," he whispered. One of the younger officers replied, voice hollow. "Not mercy. Just disappointment. Pull everything," Vex ordered. "I want Terran combat records, ancient wars, AI protocols, ship designs, anything remotely related to psychological warfare." The analyst hesitated. "Sir, some of that information is quarantined. It's unstable." Vex's voice dropped into a snarl. "Unstable is better than blind." Within moments, the data stream flooded the bridge. Every officer turned to watch old footage. Dates long erased. Grainy clips of early Terran vessels. Primitive, yes, but brutal. Efficient. Silent. No dramatic declarations. No warnings. Just impact, then death. Again and again the same pattern. Earth's enemies underestimated, then hesitated, and then vanished. "Pause there," Vex snapped. The screen froze on a wrecked alien dreadnought. "Burning, adrift," a subtitle, flashed below it. Battle of Series line. No survivors, no audio logs. Just one human ship, no known name. Another feed, another forgotten war. They didn't respond to diplomacy. They just ended us. One junior tactician muttered. "We always assumed it was an exaggeration. Human myths, propaganda. AVD spike." But the next clip silenced him. A black ship, almost identical to the one floating outside, appeared mid-orbit above an alien capital. It didn't fire. It simply broadcasted one phrase in every known language. "Remember what silence means." Seconds later, the planet's moon cracked in half. No beams. No visible weapon, just cause and effect. Back in the present, Vex stared at the footage. That wasn't technology. That was calculated restraint. He turned to his second. "That ship outside, is it one of these?" "No," the officer whispered. "We think it's worse. The last ones had crews, records, mission logs." Vex narrowed his eyes. "And this one? Nothing. No name. No known launch. Not even a date." Pause. "Sir, I think this ship wasn't sent. I think it stayed." "AVD spike," a technician gasped. "Telemetry just pinged." "The ship, it's shifting." The screen flickered. The Terran vessel was no longer facing away. It had turned directly toward them. Not fast, not aggressive, just intentional, 1 degree at a time, like it was making a choice. Talvek whispered, "They're waiting for something." His second asked quietly, "What?" He didn't answer, because something deeper had settled in his mind. A question with no comfort. What if the ship is not waiting to fight, but waiting to be provoked? The tension on the Velkaran bridge was no longer strategic. It was survivalist. Eyes darted, voices faltered. Even the air felt heavier, like the weight of the Terran ship's silence was pushing down on them inch by inch. Talvek slammed a clawed fist on the command rail. "This is posturing, psychological warfare. They're bluffing." One of the younger officers, Lieutenant Kryn, stepped forward, nervous but resolute. "Sir, with respect, I don't think they're bluffing. I think they're remembering." Talvek turned, venom in his gaze. "Explain." Kryn's hands trembled. "They've shown us no aggression, no demands. Just silence, presence. That ship, it's a message, not a weapon." Talvek scoffed. "Everything's a weapon if wielded well enough. AVD spike." Another officer stood up. Then another. Something unthinkable was happening. Mutiny? Not quite, but something close. Disobedience born of awe. One of the communications analysts whispered, "Maybe we should try again. Speak to it." Talvek spun. "Speak what? They've already responded. You saw what happened. That was a warning." Kryn raised her voice barely. "Or a restraint." The room quieted. The Terran ship, ever still on the screen, felt suddenly closer, as if watching this conversation, as if waiting. The internal lights dimmed again. Another system flickered offline for 2 seconds and returned. Environmental control. Nothing vital. But the pattern was undeniable. It wasn't random. It was conversation. Kryn leaned toward the screen, speaking not through the comm, but just aloud, almost instinctively. "We see you." Nothing happened. Then, a single pulse. A white ring of energy spread slowly across the Terran ship's hull, like breath across glass. The bridge held its breath. The pulse passed. Nothing else followed. Signature line. It replied without sound, and yet we heard everything. Talvek, now visibly sweating beneath his plated collar, barked, "Enough! This isn't diplomacy. It's theater. Load particle arrays. Prepare a lock." Silence. The command crew didn't move. He repeated, "I gave an order." One officer looked up slowly. "And if we fire, and it doesn't fire back?" Talvek blinked. "Then we win." The reply came soft. "No, sir. Then we lose something worse." They all knew what she meant. Because if the Terran ship took the hit and still stayed silent, that silence would echo through every empire, every fleet, every warlord's throne. Not defiance, not surrender, but condemnation. The message reached Admiral Rax in the outer belt systems. He read it once. Then, again, no encryption, no preamble, just 3 lines sent by Talvek's fractured crew. Terran ship encountered. No hostility, no communication. "We cannot explain it. Please advise." Rax smirked. "Then I'll explain it to them." He was the kind of leader bred for conquest, bitter, calculating, allergic to humility. While Talvek blustered in formal robes, Rax believed in action. And fleets. 5 warships jumped into orbit within the hour. Not massive, not overwhelming, just enough to remind a single vessel it was outnumbered. He arrived with eyes burning and voice sharp. "Target locked. Prepare a sphere formation. I want every possible angle covered." His second hesitation. "Sir, the contact ship hasn't fired a single shot." "Exactly," Rax sneered. "And that's why they'll never see ours coming." Back aboard the main Velkaran ship, Talvek stared in disbelief. "He brought warships?" "He," muttered. Kryn whispered from behind him. "He's going to test the silence. AVD spike." The Terran vessel did not flinch. 5 enemy warships encircled it like wolves. No shields raised, no weapons armed. It didn't even rotate. It simply existed. Radiating presence. Solrax gave the order. Fire a warning shot across its bow. Minimal yield. A particle blast surged forward. Clean, crisp, measured, it never landed. The moment it crossed an invisible line, it vanished. Not deflected, not exploded, erased. Gasps echoed across multiple bridges. What just happened? Someone asked. No, one knew because there was no impact. The blast was simply gone like it never existed. Then one of the ships in Solrax's fleet powered down, totally. No engines, no life support, no lights. Just dark, not destroyed, but silenced. Signature line. They didn't strike back, they just removed the moment. AVD spike. Solrax growled. Restore power. His crew scrambled. Nothing responded. And then, something worse. The Terran ship lit up with a single pulse again, but this time it was red, no warning, not anger, just marked. Talvek, now pale and hunched, whispered, "He's been tagged." Kryn nodded. Not for destruction, for memory. One by one, the Velkaran fleet ships started drifting. Not out of control, just off formation. Their AI systems misread. Coordinates, engines pulsing with wrong vectors. Cannons aimed at their own allies. No fire, no chaos, just embarrassment, controlled shame, or as the humans might say, mercy, but with teeth. Solrax's voice cracked through comms. "I said fire." No one obeyed. It started as a whisper on the interstellar nets, then it became a ripple. By the time the 4th Fleet ship lost gravity calibration without a single shot fired, the galaxy was no longer ignoring what hovered in orbit of Velkaran territory. Dozens of outer systems tuned in, observation drones, civilian science vessels, even black market streamers. Not one signal was blocked, because the Terran ship wasn't jamming anything. It wanted to be seen. Talvek sat motionless on the bridge, hands clasped tightly. His voice was dry. "How many outside observers are locked in?" The answer came from Kryn, who now stood not as a subordinate, but as the only one unafraid to speak. 73. Systems. 8 empires, and at least 5 species with faster spread comms than ours. Talvek blinked slowly. "So, it's not just us anymore." Kryn nodded. It never was. A new signal emerged, encrypted in an old human pattern, yet readable to all. It repeated only one sentence. "We gave you silence. You filled it with teeth." Talvek stood shakily. "What does it mean?" Kryn answered, not with sarcasm, but reverence. "It means we asked for their silence. And now, we're choking on it." Outside, the Terran vessel slowly rotated again, allowing each drone, each observer, to see its full form. The names engraved into its hull glowed now, not with vengeance but with clarity. Each letter is a monument. Each line is a choice not forgotten, not forgiven, just remembered. "We gave you silence. You filled it with teeth." Solrax, watching from his flagship, finally broke. He issued a full fleet retreat. "Pull us out. Do not re-engage. Tell the system we misidentified the contact." One of his captains hesitated. "Sir, the observers will know." Solrax gritted his fangs. Let them all know we backed away, that we survived." Back on the command ship, Talvek turned to the wall screen, now filled with translation bars, news feeds, and stunned diplomatic comms lighting. "Up, no chaos, no threats, just one undeniable fact cycling again and again. Earth has not spoken. Earth does not negotiate through dominance. Earth simply exists." The Galactic Forum opened an emergency shadow session. Off record, off protocol. 12 species. No pleasantries, no ceremony, just dread. The Velkaran representative arrived. First eyes sunken, voice hollow. "We request guidance. Earth has deployed something." The Kalan ambassador, a crystalline being of logic, responded bluntly, "They have not deployed." The vessel was always there, You merely saw it. Tension rippled. Even among veterans of planetary sieges, no one had the vocabulary for what this Terran ship represented. The Garathi warrior priest leaned forward. Was it a weapon? Cahalan clicked. No. It is what follows weapons. A silence made of memories. A logic too human for calculation. That's when Yulna spoke. She wasn't a military leader. She was a linguist. Old, forgotten by most. But fluent in extinct codes and Terran idioms, her voice was frail but unshaking. It's a riddle, she said. Everyone turned. She continued, slow and grim. The humans didn't send us a warship. They didn't send us a warning. They sent us a question, AVD Spike. And that question is this. She looked up, her 6 eyes glimmering. If you fire the first shot, can you carry what comes next? Silence, but not the Terran kind. This silence was galactic, because everyone in that room, in every feed, in every drone watching the orbiting ship, understood the unspoken second part of her riddle. Humans could. Could you? Signature line. They didn't threaten us. They made us remember we're not ready to be remembered. Back aboard the Velkaran ship, Talvek sat alone now. His crew functioned around him, but no one looked at him. Because power, real power, wasn't about commanding a bridge. It was about surviving history's gaze. The Terran vessel had made no moves in hours. It hadn't needed to, and yet it was winning. Because now, every commander in the quadrant had one nightmare. What if their name ended up on that hull? Kryn stood at the viewing port, whispering to herself. We keep asking, who's on that ship? But maybe the better question is, who isn't? The ship pulsed once, no sound, just acknowledgement. The delegation chamber aboard the neutral station Voxtel Verge pulsed with tension. Representatives from over 40 species had gathered, physically or via hologram, to compose the most delicate message ever drafted. Not a threat, not a plea, just a recognition. One line had been debated for hours. We acknowledge Earth's silence as sovereign. And still it felt wrong, empty, because silence wasn't Earth's tool anymore. It was Earth's language. AVD Spike. A technician monitoring the orbital feeds suddenly stiffened. Movement. The word struck like thunder. Every head snapped. Toward the view feed. The Terran vessel, after days of floating still, had begun to rise. Not flee. No charge, just ascend. Vertically. Slowly. Deliberately. Rising above the Velkaran ship, then above the station, then above the galactic plane, as if stepping above war itself. And then something changed. The light shifted, not brighter, not louder, just visible. Dozens of faint shapes faded into view, silent watchers previously cloaked. Other ships, dozens, all of them are Terran, different models, different scars, but the same aura, the same restraint, the same impossible silence. They had always been there. The galaxy had just never looked up. The Terran ship wasn't alone. It had never been. Gasps filled the comms. Even the Velkarans who had once mocked Earth now fell silent, heads bowed, reverent, because now the message was clear. Earth had not responded. It was prepared. One of the ships, smaller than the others, broadcasted a simple visual. An ancient Earth battlefield. Thousands of gravestones. Zoom in. Names etched, but not Terran names. Alien ones. Enemies. All remembered, all honored. Kryn watched from her station, breath-catching. They keep the names of those they defeat, so they don't become like them. A final pulse rippled from the lead ship. Every ship in orbit, every drone, every satellite. All systems briefly synced. One phrase appeared in every language. We rise above, not away. Because the stars are not yours to own. They are only yours to respect. The Terran fleet shimmered once more, then recloaked. Gone again, as if daring the galaxy to forget. The stars felt quieter now. Not in volume, in weight. Across the Velkaran fleet, systems stabilized, engines hummed, power returned, but no one cheered, because no one had won. Not really. And still, Earth waited. The Terran ships were gone, vanished without warp signature, without trace. But no one dared declare them absent. They were somewhere, and the galaxy knew it. Tal Vec walked the corridor of his vessel alone. The high-ranking officers avoided his gaze. The low ranks whispered only one phrase now, like a prayer. Earth saw us. He entered the observation deck where Kryn stood, watching the empty space where the ship had hovered. She didn't turn to greet him. She simply said, "You think they're gone?" Tal Vec's voice had aged 20 years. "No. Just finished speaking." Kryn nodded. That was them speaking? He gestured to the stars. Everything, the silence, the memory, the restraint. That was the language. AVD. Spike. From a hidden panel, she pulled out a small data crystal, unlabeled. "Raw Terran code, what's that?" he asked. She handed it to him. "Data feed from the ship. It was only transmitted once." I caught it. Encrypted in a dead Earth dialect. He activated it. A single visual bloomed in the air. A Terran child's drawing, crude, hand-sketched, in soft color, a black ship standing between a blue planet and a line of fire. Beneath it, a phrase in rough writing. "If we don't remember what we protect, we forget who we are." They didn't build it to fight. They built it so they'd never have to again. Tal Vec stared at the image. It wasn't a threat. It wasn't dominance, it was philosophy. One only the powerful had the luxury to choose, a memory made real. News feeds across the galaxy began to shift. No more Terran threat. No more rogue ship. Just one title. The Watcher that didn't strike. And under it, and still, Earth waits. Because that's what terrified the empires most. Not that Earth had acted, but that it hadn't. Kryn spoke, barely above a whisper. If that was their past, what's waiting in their future?